So a little tour of the shop. I don't have a lot of square footage, but this is what I call my clamping bench. So this is where I would reglue lifting bridges, cracks on the sides of guitars. I have magnets. I have, as you can see, an abundance of clamps. The old woodage term is you never have enough clamps. So I don't think I have enough clamps. I just don't have enough clamp holders. I need more clamps. And then in all these drawers, I have all my little secret jigs and jacks and things that I came up with and invented over the years for fretting and stuff like that. So this is the one that gets the most use out of you know, wrestling the guitar back to where it should be. And later on I'll show you a guitar that was on this bench and what it needed to have done. And then moving along over here, I have what I call my little dust makers, and this is for lowering saddles. This is a stationary sander. It also moves up and down. This is a great sander. I don't use this a whole lot, but it's great for sharpening tools. A little bit of buffing, like if I make a bone nut for somebody, I want to polish it up so it looks really nice, so I'll use this buffer here. You'll see more buffers. That's going to be the smallest one in the shop. We'll get to the bigger ones. I think I don't have enough hammers, and I'm pretty certain I don't have enough files. So I need to work on getting some more of those. And then in here, just for fret work, this is just for clipping frets and doing different things just for frets alone. And then underneath it is more fret tools. And then speaking of frets, this is called a fret press right here. And what this does is I lift this up and I move it to where I need it. I'll put it on this bench over behind me. And then you lift this up and they have radius calls that would follow the curve of your fretboard. And then I can press the fret in when it's prepped, and the neck is prepped, and get it really super, super tight so you're not going to have a fret pop out on you after you're done. The old school method of hammering frets in, I still do that, but I get a much better result, and almost everybody else is going this route now too, except for some of my highly respected luthiers that are stuck with the hammer. But I do both, so I have it both. Then when it comes to the fret level and dressing and recrown area, that's what all these files are for. So I have chisels over here, and I have fretwork files here, all kinds, crowning files, just about anything you possibly need, diamond files, regular files. It depends on the guitar on what you need to have done, and so I'll do that. And then when it comes to buffing out the frets, this is my main area here. So I'll start, these numbers are not corresponding to the sandpaper. They just tell me use this one first, use this one next, and then this is my buff out. And then sometimes I'll bring it over to the buffer and buff the whole fingerboard out. I have a ukulele that I'm finishing repairing here. As we walk over to this corner, my little Guitar Tech solder corner. So this is all my electronics. This is my volt ohm meters. Also endorsing a certain CA glue, which is, quote, I hate to use the term super glue, but it's a CA glue. And this guy has just absolutely got the best product. It's called Glue Boost. It's just one of the best that's out there. He's got aerosol accelerator that does not blush or make it turn white, so when you're repairing stuff I don't have to chip away different things and start over or do anything like that.
Is that what I saw today on Facebook?
I think you did, yes. That would be the one. Yeah, that's Glue Boost. So shout out to Rick Rosenberg. He's the president of the company and a super, super nice guy. So then I got my soldering station, and then this might be hard to see, but every one of these are different guitar polishes. So depending on what finish I have,
I recognize a couple of those.
Yeah, you know, sometimes something works better than something else, and it'd be nice if I could stick with just one, like a lot of my friends do. But I think when it comes to guitar polishes, you could quote me, I'm a hoarder. But I find some that work really well. This is my main baby. This is my main workbench. This is where everything happens, that from soldering to a lot of the fret levels and dressings to electronic work to some sanding here. Not a lot. I don't want to get too much dust in here, but above you is a dust collector, which goes all the way down to 1 micron. So I don't have to wear a mask a lot of times, which is really nice. I can just turn that on. And I would do that. It's super loud, so I won't do it right now. But that helps out a lot. All my adjustment tools. As we go along, you'll notice there's a lot of tape, and everything has has a meaning for the different tapes. I have low tack tapes, I have high tack tapes, I have wide low tack tapes, I have silicone tapes, which are designed for a different, they were prototypes that I'm testing out right now for a new product that's coming out. More tapes over here. Of course, all my pliers. I don't have enough screwdrivers and pliers. And then all my tools for my Dremel. I love my Dremel tools, so I have 4 of those. And then as we go over here, this is my wonderful, wonderful Stewart Mcdonald Vise. Everybody has to have a Vise, right? And this is one of my Vises. I have another one over there. And don't laugh, but this is my office. I do a lot of work upstairs. I got a full security system, but I got my phone, landline here, computer here, printer here, and that's pretty much, as far as the business end, it's right in this little corner right here. And then moving along over here, you're going to see my tape hoarding fetish reappears.
Yeah, it looks like it's growing.
Yes, I think every morning a new roll shows up. So I have, as you can see, I have it for binding, I have it for masking, I also have it for pin striping, just tape off certain areas that I have to have. I have low tack tape right here for old vintage finishes, because I strictly do restorations, and that's my main thing. So I got to be very careful what tape I put on what finish, or you're going to peel the whole finish off if it's from the 40s.
I noticed just the incredible master work that you do when you're doing an old instrument. I've seen some of those, like, oh my gosh, you cannot tell. Period. End of story. It looks original.
It's a challenge it's kind of interesting because I don't want it to look like it's been worked on. Then there's a giveaway. So if I put new gears onto an old guitar, I have to age them to make them look old. So a lot of times it looks like nobody did anything to the guitar except get it back into the player's hand. And it could be from 1930, 1920, 1940s, depending on the woods. I have stacks of woods up in all my rafters up here, all kiln dried, air dried. They're all over 100 to 200 years old. It's kind of hard to see, but when we move around, you'll probably be able to get a better shot. All these curly stuff up here are bindings for all the different kinds of guitars that may come in. So we got wood bindings for perfing, we got celluloid bindings, we got ABS bindings, we got PVC bindings, all the different materials. It gets boring to talk about all that.
No, not at all. There's nothing boring about this incredible shop here.
Well, yeah, and then I got all my badges from the NAMM shows. I've been to 36 of those bad boys. That's enough to make you go insane. Imagine that. And then more storage. I got inlay tools. I got scrapers. All kinds of. I even use microscope slides to scrape, which is an old woodworker's tip. So you can scrape, like if you did a finish fill and it's a little high, you can actually take the microscope and slide that over it and level it instead of using sandpaper.
That's incredible.
It's less dust, so it's less toxic. Over here, I have my patients, most of them.
Look like they're all resting well.
Yeah, we got a Les Paul that had a neck break on it. I'm in the process of, I just finished putting splines in it.
Okay.
And then I'm going to do the paint job on the back of the neck, bring it back to life. 70s with the wrong decal. Somebody decided to change the decal on it. I offered to restore it because I have the correct decal, but it's sentimental to the family, so we're leaving it as is.
Okay.
Another broken Les Paul. Here's a 72 Telecaster. This right here is, speaking of Chris Hillman, this is the back of his 1926
mandolin.
Martin Alcoa mandolin I'm restoring.
Nice.
So that's right here hiding behind the Music Man neck for the bass player for Crosby, Stills, and Nash. That goes back up here. This I've been working on doing the rebracing and stuff, and this is where I was going to talk to you about. And no, this isn't an amp. It's a refrigerator.
Nice.
And it goes to 11. So one of the guitars I was mentioning, this is from 1930. So I'm rebuilding some of the bracing inside. And then, as you can see, it's got a hole here. They're going to leave the hole because it's another sentimental thing that the father had done and put a pickup in it. But there's the main problem right there.
Oh, no.
So this is a piece of donor mahogany, as I call it, that will be popped into this after I thin it through my thickness sander, age it. It's actually, this is 75 years old, this mahogany, so it's going to fit pretty well. It's got the right...
So the piece of mahogany that you had in your hand is 75 years old already.
At least, yeah.
And the guitar
is from 1930.
So the guitar's from 1930, and that, when you get done, will look exactly like nothing's been done to it.
Yeah, right now you can see where I'm doing a little glue up and stuff. By the time I'm done, this will have that dull satin finish, and it'll look like it's been played a lot. And I put new gears on it that are aged, so that fixed one problem because it had the wrong gears on there. And so yeah, this piece of wood will be all aged and oxidized and in there and smooth as can be. And then I'll pop the back on and finish that up. So it's kind of neat, you know, when you look inside of a guitar from that area, you can see the scallop bracing right here, where it looks like little suspension bridges.
Okay.
So if anybody knows what scallop bracing is, that's what it is. So they scallop it in the middle. What it was is it's supposed to lighten the top a little bit and allow it to vibrate more. So you could take a smaller guitar and allow it to sound better. And then when they came out with the D-28, which was named after the Dreadnought German warship, they did the X bracing on those too, but that was the biggest body they had. So anything that has a D in front of it, even from other companies now, is in respect to the Dreadnought.
The larger size.
Yeah, so you know, you look at a D45 and a D
those,
this.
And those are called, you've got in your hand, those are like, are those the Parlor Guitars, what they're called? Or
Yeah, well at the time guitars were not large.
that was just a regular size guitar back then.
Yeah, and so they kind of call them Parlor Guitars because in the parlors, mostly the men were playing mandolins and banjos, very loud instruments. So the women would get the job of playing the small little parlor guitars. And the women were allowed into the parlors, and you'll see pictures of old Martin guitars, and 90% of them you'll see that the women are playing the guitars and the men are playing the banjos and the mandolins. Then it switched over from a gut string, that's what these would have, and silk and steel strings. And then now these are doing a big resurgence. They're super, super great sounding.
I noticed that Martin has got quite a few double O's out now.
Yeah, the orchestra models, that's what they are. So I've worked on one from 1840, one from 1840 is the earliest one I've worked on. 1867, Bob Bain had one. And it's interesting looking inside and seeing the craftsmanship of what they were doing back then. And I'm sure that worker at the time was thinking that guitar was never going to last 20 more years, let alone, 100, and be in somebody's hands and being restored. So then got a Valdez acoustic here, Santa Cruz with a broken headstock. I got a 79 Les Paul. This is kind of a rare one. It was an anniversary edition, and this is getting refretted. And I already got to thank you before I even started on it. So that's kind of nice.
A beautiful guitar.
Yeah, but it's
heavier than anything.
Yeah, I own a couple 79s too, so I'm kind of used to the weight. I just kind of walk sideways now. And some of the other parlor guitars I have in here are like these small bodies here. And this is all Brazilian rosewood, back before anybody was worried about, rainforest depletion.
Yep.
Clear cutting and all that kind of stuff. This is quarter sawn oak on the sides and back of this one.
Incredible.
Yeah.
That's just beautiful.
So that's getting rebound on the back. I had popped the back off, so I got it back on. Now I got to finish the binding and take care of that one. Then I got a 77 Deluxe. It needs to be refinished. I'm in the middle of a neck reset on this guy right here. So poor little guy, he doesn't have all his parts. This is a 1946 ES 125, and it's all mahogany.
1946.
Yeah, and it's one of the first ones that had their P90 pickup that had non-adjustable pole pieces on it. So it's really neat. It's kind of interesting to see how they adjusted the neck angle at the factory. they just kind of hammered in a little wedge of mahogany, and
That's
then they closed the
insane.
back up.
Nobody's going to see that.
Nobody's gonna know. Nobody will see that. But those were designed at intermediate guitars. You know, if it was going to be your first electric acoustic, well, first electric, period. I mean, in '46, Leo was tinkering around with the broadcaster and stuff like that. So, yeah, everything kind of came out right around that time period. And then my main dust collection area is over here, but I want to show you the buffers. These are the big buffers I would promise to show you. So I got one for harder materials finishing, and then one that's a soft. This is a called a Donald cotton. It's super soft. It's actually it's so soft that it probably wouldn't make a mark on anything except when it's spinning at 1100 RPM, and that's where that one spins. This one spins a little slower, and I could use this one for fretboards. And then I can use this one to get into little pockets on the guitar, you know, right in here that you can't get into with anything else. That's a redwood telly right there. And then this is called a thickness sander. So this allows me to take bridges I'm custom making and get them to the right thickness. It can only go up about 3 inches, but I don't need it to do much. But I can actually take a piece of wood about that big and make it into a veneer of 3/32 if I wanted to. So I can fix a guitar like that piece of wood that's going to be in that 1930s guitar. That donor piece is going to run through here a couple times and talk to Mr. Sander until he comes out to the right size.
I love the way you say that. Talk to Mr. Sander.
Yeah, Mr. Buffer, Mr. Sander, they all eventually talk to each other behind my back. That's the problem. And then the rest of this is just the small bandsaw. Anything else I need for a larger bandsaw, I'll borrow a friend of mine who can do resawing. Another sander here, can't have enough of those, and then a grinder, and then the drill press, which I don't use it as a standard drill press. I use it for a lot of stuff where I have to drill out bridge pin holes and stuff like that.
Okay.
Sometimes I'll actually put a sanding drum on here, but excuse me, it's got a little light here, so for precision work I can get really in there and do stuff. And then I got safety goggles all the way around the whole shop. Got to have that. And then this is my sandpaper station. So there's all kinds of sandpaper going on here.
That's insane.
Yeah, and then I got, let's see, what do I got in here? It's kind of embarrassing. Here's some of the sanding drums that would go in there.
Okay.
This one's got a follower on it, so it can follow whatever it is. And then this one would fit in there. Drill bits. Oh my God, how many drill bits do I have? Not enough. Okay. Yeah, I got a problem with drill bits too. But they all serve their purpose. And then over here, vintage parts galore. This is where Joe Bonamassa had a really good time. He went through and found all kinds of stuff.
That he liked, huh?
Oh yeah. And he knows what he's looking for too. So I didn't have to explain anything to him. I just let him and Rick go through them and see what they wanted, and
nice.
They offered me a fair price for them. And then this is called an oscillating sander. It's kind of hard to see, but so what you can do with this is this will vibrate up and down in a circle, so it'll go up and down while it spins. And then this is a little protective sheet I have right here. Okay. And so if I need to sand a curve into a guitar,
oh my gosh,
you get every single radius that you possibly want. You know, from
different sizes,
super large to super small, tiny. You know, things like that. I don't have to use it too much because I'm not a builder, and that's one thing that separates me from a lot of other guys is I strictly do restorations. That's all I do. I don't want to be whatever, a Swiss Army knife and do everything but not be a master of one. I want to be able to focus on what I do for a living and make that my priority. And I'm probably the hardest one to satisfy. So that's a problem with me. You know, I strive for 100%. I usually feel like I hit 80. Most of the customers feel like I hit 120. And that's where the humbleness comes from, because I'm not ever 100% doing a dance after I repair a guitar going, oh my God, this one came out perfect. There's always something else I could be doing to it. You know, I have to force myself to back away from the guitar, Tracy. It's fine, leave it alone. So yeah, so I get all kinds of stuff in here. It's a little bare right now. I usually have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 other stands out here with guitars on them. But I'm
So
breathing a little bit of relief right
You've
now.
been busy.
I've been busy, yeah. I've been really busy.
Yeah, I remember the interview with Todd. You said you had 36 in here.
Yeah.
So,
Every time I would say 36, somebody would pick up that guitar and then 2 more would show up. So I never got below the magic 36 number. I don't know what it is, like, you know, when I get to Heaven's Gate and they ask me what the magic number it is, I guess it better be 36. Then I had an art scholarship, so I do a lot of painting, a lot of airbrushing. So I have a lot of different kinds of paints in here, touch-ups, all my different brushes. I try to be as organized as I can, but I really can't.
This is incredibly organized. I can't say enough about that.
Just for measuring and stuff like that, I have my French curves and all my contour gauges and stuff like that. I take templates of just about every guitar that I shave a neck on, and I'll write the custom first fret of a. This is a 60 Strat. So that way I can, if somebody brings a neck in for me to shave, I can copy it exactly to what the specs are.
Perfect.
Only I can understand this writing.
Yeah.
And then there's some from StewMac too. I don't use these too much. I'm kind of spoiled with my own that I do.
Well, if yours are better, there you go.
Yeah, it just kind of helps. And then you can't do restorations without doing inlay. So I have a lot of inlays. So these are all little tiny dot inlays. Inside here is about 150 more dot inlays. Different
every
bits.
kinds of inlay too, right?
Every kind, yeah. And then this is kind of a neat material called Ablab. And what they do is they take thin sheets of abalone and they epoxy them all together so you can get a large sheet out of it. And so you get a really, really beautiful look out of it. And then I have some actual real abalone here for when I have to match up something from the 50s and stuff like that. This is like a pink Powell abalone. And then white mother of pearl here.
Yep.
And all kinds of other stuff hiding in here that
Yeah, I still remember my D41. It had some beautiful inlay on it.
didn't they? Yeah, the D41s, the D42s, the D45s. Those were the top of the food chain. They were the ones that set Martin apart from the others. You know, they would have one guy, you know, they only made, I think in the D45s, they only made like 91 of them. It was pretty time consuming and they had to dedicate their best guys to build those. Sometimes it'd be only one guy. And then they took them off the market. And it wasn't until Mike Longworth came along and he was hot rodding D28s and turning them into D45s, doing all the inlay work and everything else. Hence, he got a job at Martin and they reissued the D45. Well, short story, Mike Longworth is the one that certified me as a Martin Service Center. You can see all my certificates I have up here. Well, not all of them, but a few of them. And him and I remained good friends all the way up to his death. His signature is on there, but it's faded so bad you can't see it. And then all my legal stuff, business tax certificate, you know, all the stuff that gotta pay the man. Signed Les Paul picture, my guild certificate, Gibson. I got a Scotty Moore picture signed. Chris Hillman, there's Chris. Jackie Lomax, Steve Vive. I don't know, I don't look up here that often. It's kind of, I think one of the cool pictures that I like a lot is me with Leo Fender. You can see how young I was.
Let me get that in there.
I was probably 19.
Light, good light.
And Eddie Van Halen, David Lee Roth. You know, I don't drop names because it's something that, like if I look at the instrument that's in here, I'll say who it is. But if you ask me how many people I worked on their guitars that are famous, I'd have to write it down. I'd have a hard time remembering it. You know, I don't wear that on my sleeve because to me everybody is equal. And you know, whether you're a rock star or not, if you're playing music and you're serious about it and you want your guitar fixed, you're a rock star to me. So that's how it is.
Tracy, thank you again. This was an incredible interview. I appreciate the tour. We're going to have this out probably in the next day or so, and I hope you like it.
Sure. Thanks for interviewing me, and welcome to Guitar Tech Corner.
Yep. And do not forget to look up Guitar Tech Corner. Easy to find, guitartechcorner.com.
Yeah, and also on Facebook, Guitar Tech Corner on Facebook. The necessary evil, Facebook.
Yes.
But I can post a lot of pictures on there that I can't on my other website, so it's user friendly for me. I'm pretty much an analog guy.
Yep. I appreciate that.
So I still have a landline.
Yep. Tracy, thank you again.
Sure.
Appreciate it.
Alrighty, Mike.